Hello, welcome back to the book club. I laugh after
That
that
is
intro
way
every
too
time.
exciting music for a book club.
No
We're reading
way.
books.
Books are fun.
Books are fun. Reading is fun, kids.
Yeah.
We got to make reading fun for people, but we also have to make these videos for people that don't read, so we can.
We have to be the
update
next
them.
generation LeVar Burton. We have to be the next Reading Rainbow.
Some would say LeVar Burton is this generation's LeVar Burton, but
this is true.
I was just going to say that.
And LeVar Burton was on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Take a look in a comic. It's Deathstick. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Yep. We're going to talk about.
All right, what are we talking about today?
Deathstick.
War of the Bounty Hunters 14 here with Deathstick. This is called The Following because they're being followed by Deathstick. And by they, I mean Dengar and Valance. What do we
Two bounty hunters.
What do we think about Valance as a character?
He's an old character. He's a classic.
Can one of you give us the cliff notes
classic.
of who Valance is?
He's a
background.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to stay quiet because I was like, I can talk and talk and talk. So actually, fun fact, Valance actually, I believe, came out before Terminator, rather interestingly, despite their designs being so similar. So yeah, he first appeared in 1978, I want to say, in the original Marvel run of comics. And he was loosely the same, or in super broad terms, he was an Imperial, got injured, eventually became sympathetic to the rebellion. Died, Vader killed him, whatever. Marvel comics, they were weird. They were crazy. Jackson's a space rabbit. In modern canon, he first appeared in the Han Solo miniseries, Han Solo Imperial Cadet. He wasn't actually, and he was a fellow soldier with Han, and he appeared in the Solo comic adaptation as well. And then slowly, as readers, we realized that this is going to be Valance again because he wasn't named yet, and he gets injured, then he goes through the process. He continues to fight for the Empire. His story has not been retconned, but there's just been a lot added into it. That right now he's a pretty dense character, surprisingly so, with his backstory, and he has this whole romance plot, and he has to go. It's a whole thing. But in essence, he is a cyborg bounty hunter who has a weird relationship with Han Solo, if I was to summarize it in a sense, because he has a weird life debt to him. And he feels like Han is the only person who ever really cared, who ever really gave him a chance. And so he feels now, in this time where Han has been taken away, that he should give Han that chance and go save Han again. And that's his motivation. But I will say he's a character that I didn't really like, and now I really do like.
Right. Yeah, I feel like
grew on me.
I feel like he grew on a lot of people, and in this comic now we see him teamed up with Dengar, and
which I was not expecting, but
yeah, it's an unlikely duo, I feel, and the word's been put out. We know that Crimson Dawn is back, and they have Han Solo. Is it put out that they have Han Solo, or just that Crimson Dawn is back?
No, so the word is Boba Fett lost Han Solo, and Crimson Dawn is having a get together, and everyone's like,
"How convenient!"
So, yeah.
And something I found very interesting in a few of these comics so far, especially this one, is how Crimson Dawn is really feared. The character that we meet in one of the on Nar Shaddaa, where they're being chased by Deathstick, they go to a little cantina or whatever, and we find out that Dengar used to be a swoop racer, which we'll get into in a minute.
Swoop City.
That relates
Swoop
to us.
City.
The Swoop City prequel.
All the way. There you go.
I don't know if I have the pronunciation right, but Mama Stomach.
Mama Stomach.
Mama Stomach.
Go with
you
Mama
gotta
Stomach.
remember, these characters are probably Australian, because Dengar has that Aussie accent, which I always forget about, but I have to read his lines in that Aussie, which is, I think it's Simon Pegg who does his voice in Clone Wars, right?
Ooh.
I believe so.
I think because he did it in Battlefront too.
That's what I was about to say. I know he did it in Battlefront.
It's weird. It's Simon Pegg. Cool.
That's pretty cool.
That is weird.
I had no idea that was a thing.
So I have to read it in Simon Pegg's voice. But I was just saying, it's I don't know, stomach.
But she's she's terrified. They bring up Crimson Dawn, and she's like, "What?" And in Deathstick, who we find out at the end of the comic. Spoiler alert. So by the way, everyone, spoilers for the comics and High Republic, which we'll get into at the end. But she's like terrified of them. And, we meet her and she seems like a pretty tough lady, runs a cantina, kind of like a Maz type vibe, but like eviler, I guess, rougher.
Maz is pretty rough, but rougher than us.
We find out a lot about Crimson Dawn in this issue.
A lot of lore, a lot of like, here are the bones of a structure for the Solo sequel, like where that could go, that sort
exactly.
Of like it could fit in here. It's like,
yeah, yes, it was just enough where it's just like, bloop, well, here is where they went and why they disappeared, and then they're back, and then they're gone again, and that's all we're gonna tell you. That's like literally all it went.
Dropping the hint that maybe they went under on purpose, and I was like, just that little like, or maybe they went away because they planned it. That adds a lot of layers. Like they didn't just disappear. There is some story there to be told, and that makes me excited.
Yeah.
Swoop City. Let's talk about Swoop City. What was that?
City.
Swoop City.
Swoop City.
A few podcast episodes ago, we did make a movie with Levi and our friend Shelby while Matt was parading around Disney World, having a good time. So we were up here. We were on the HoloNet making a podcast episode about a fake movie that could happen in Star Wars, and it was called Swoop City, and it took place on Nar Shaddaa, and it involved crime and noir, and I don't know, it was a crime noir film.
I could give you the pitch.
Give the pitch.
So basically, it starts on like a hut pleasure barge above Nar Shaddaa.
Okay.
And there's we haven't worked out like the fine point details, but there's like they have a MacGuffin, and there's some mystery, like someone takes the MacGuffin, and the hut barge goes down, and they crash on Nar Shaddaa, which is obviously a big swoop town. And I believe we said that was it Anya Taylor-Joy and was it Lupita Nyong'o, or was it Letitia Wright?
Letitia Wright.
Letitia Wright. They're like beat cops on Nar Shaddaa, and like they're the only everyone on Nar Shaddaa is corrupt. So like it's a rare thing to have like a beat cop and a detective. But anyway, so this thing goes down, and then so you have a sort of similar to War of the Bounty Hunters. All the huts are like, okay, well they got our thing, our treasure, or whatever. So we got to get them, and it's gonna have like almost imagine this, Batman and Robin, like the scene with the motorcycles. Like that's what swoop racing is, right? So the person who stole it is they're in the swoop world. So it's almost like Fast and Furious. Like they're undercover, trying to get away from.
Throwing around a lot of movies here.
Well, it's a lot of influence. It's Swoop City, and so they're being chased by the criminal underworld, and then you have the beat cops trying to figure out the case. And I think Anya Taylor-Joy was like the Republic representative, who is like the detective, like the hardline detective, who's like, all right, what's going on Nar Shaddaa? Like what's going on here? And they gotta crack this case of like the mystery person, because you don't know. Like you're seeing a lot of this through the perspective of the detectives, and like clearly someone is being chased through this rampant world of this wild world of swoop racing, and the underworld by all these different criminal factions. And it's like, oh, it'd be so exciting. So that's.
And I think we had it take place during right before, leading into Force Awakens, so it bleeds over, and then maybe by the end, Hosnian Prime blows up, and that's
during the Cold War.
Yeah, during the Cold War.
Cold War era. Mm-hmm. Swoop City. Go listen to that podcast episode. Follow our podcast; it's fun. While you're here, subscribe to this channel.
What do you think about
and watch Power Trip.
And watch Power Trip.
What do you think about that idea?
I actually think that's a pretty good idea. I really like that.
Not bad, right?
How are we going to play the Cold War angle? I really want to play up the Cold War angle. I want some
You and I love the Cold War.
We'll follow
the Cold War is probably one of my favorite moments in all of canon. The Cold War is rife.
It's ripe
for so many story opportunities. Come on.
Well, look at like Vi Marati's story. That she was like a spy during the Cold War in Phasma. That was such an awesome story.
Like we were talking about, Crimson Dawn is feared at this point in the galaxy, and so as you were saying, the Mama character, Mama like Stomach or whatever, she's recounting the history of Crimson Dawn. It's either her, I think it's her who we get this panel. It might be with Ta'onga's storyline, but you get this like flashback panel of the history of Crimson Dawn, which is just absolutely gorgeous, with Dryden Voss and Rex and the Siege of Mandalore and the Marlon Brando hut at the top.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet, and because there's a page before this where it's like, this is everyone who's a part of it. It was the Pikes and the Mandalorians, and in the Death Watch. It's just so cool.
So what I found so interesting on this is they say Dryden Voss was killed by a nobody, which is interesting because I'm assuming they say Kira probably was like, "Oh, Han killed him" or something, right? But Han at this point isn't a nobody. In fact, like the whole War of the Bounty Hunters is based around Han.
Yeah, but
So
back
he's
then
anything
they
but
don't know. Like she, I
Yeah,
don't think
so
she, like, I don't know if she was like.
maybe it was never found out it was Han.
I think she just said her Beckett and the friends or whatever killed Dryden. Maul, I mean.
Oh, okay.
And then went underground.
Yeah.
And then another quote right after is, then after a few years, the Crimson Dawn just disappeared again, which I don't know what that says about a possible Solo 2 of sorts.
Well, after a few years, so when Kira goes back to Maul on Dathomir, like something has to strand Maul on Malachor. So there's a story. There's a story there, but so maybe part of Kira's plan, because the next line is, "Some say the Dawn never truly left; they were lying in wait for something big." And so maybe
which is
Kira,
exactly
Kira does her masterstroke, and she strands Maul, and then takes over and brings the organization sort of underground for a while.
That's the. I hope they don't leave that story for a comic, because I'd really love to see that on screen.
Yeah, I've always thought Kira stranding Maul on Malachor was a good idea. I think that's probably the most likely outcome now.
But what would let's speculate how that could really happen.
He might have wanted to intentionally be stranded on Malachor,
exactly.
possibly.
I think he wanted to go there and then be picked up, so to speak. I'm like, I gotta go do this, but then was just left. Like I think she manipulated him to a point where he felt the need to like go back, because we shout out to All New Nerds where I'm from. We're doing our own comic show, but it's a little bit different. This is like current stuff. I'm taking Johnny and Dylan through the past comics, and we're going chronologically. And it starts with Darth Maul, the miniseries, and the one shot there. And Palpatine takes him to Malachor to like breathe in the Sith dust and like see, like have visions.
I love the visions he has of like the Scourge of Malachor are awesome.
It's pretty sweet. But so he knows where Malachor is. Like he knows about the Sith Temple and its power. Palpatine probably told him about it. He's been there. So at some point in time, while he was leading Crimson Dawn, my previous theory was, after Crimson Dawn is sort of falling apart as Kira either usurps him or Palpatine's finally fed up with it. It's like, Maul, you cannot exist here. Like, Vader, go deal with this. Maul is a freaking Sith Lord and he's rivaling my power. Go take care of this. At any point, it starts to crumble and he gets desperate. It's like, Malachor, there's a super weapon there or whatever. That's my chance. And Kira takes that opportunity to be like, see ya. And we go underground and Maul's gone. And then we wait because the Emperor's, is on our ass, but we wait. So that's the way I've sort of written in my head.
I'll give you a ride. And then he's like, all right, wait in the car. And he gets out. He takes a couple of steps, and then all of a sudden it's just
see ya.
And he turns around, and he's like, "What?"
It's like, damn it.
Yeah, definitely.
How long after?
Oh, Matt,
was that a plan? Did his power
Doesn't
go
seem
out?
like it. It's possible that his power went out. It has been quite nasty tonight.
He's back.
Oh, your power go out?
You pulled them all.
No, I Costanza. I told a joke. I'm out.
Oh, it was intentional.
No,
that
was not intentional. Wow. It just happened to line up.
You're confusing me. So how long after is Rebels after Solo? Or
like 10 years?
Yeah, about
no
9 or 10 years.
No. Hold on. So
I was just
Solo takes place over like 3 years. It's from 8 to 11 BBY, I want to say, or 11 to 8 reverse, because it's, and then Rebels starts 4 years before.
Okay,
A New Hope, but you don't see Maul until the end of season 2, and like when Obi-Wan kills Maul, it's like 2 years before, 1 to 2 years before A New Hope,
which makes no sense because Luke looks like a little baby when he's running.
Yeah, it's not. That's actually, it's a kind of a cursed fun fact. Is the model for Luke is actually just Ezra's model, so it's this right size. It's just like far away. It's a weird thing.
It's a weird perspective.
It's a weird perspective thing.
Yeah, that is weird.
He's supposed to be older. But yeah, between when you see Maul be like, "Come to me on Dathomir," and then him in Rebels is like 6 years, 5-6 years.
Okay.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
The comic mentions Dryden dying, and in a few years, and then Crimson Dawn goes under. So it takes 6 years after Solo is when he's stranded on Malachor.
Well, how long is he stranded on Malachor?
Yeah, we don't know
because he looks all gaunt and kind of.
I mean, if you were there for a year, Like that'd be, or 6 months even. Like,
yeah, like what is he?
Yeah.
What is he eating? You know,
he's breathing in the
What
ashes.
is he eating?
probably.
Eating the dust.
Sith dust.
Sith
Yeah,
dust,
Sith
and
dust.
that's it.
It's like the bone meal in Skyrim and whatnot.
Yeah, there
Sith
you go.
bone meal.
Let me just conjure something up really quick.
I mean, that's,
Let's talk about Death Stick.
I
So
love
totally
Death
shift-
Stick.
Jamie, future cosplay.
Yes,
Looks
that's a dangerous
pretty a lot of fabric. So
topic,
that's nice.
yeah, it's such a cool look. And so like I did like the least amount of research possible. I looked up the thing, but she appeared in the mobile game Star
Yes,
Wars
Star Wars
Uprising.
They talked about it last week a
Talked
little
about
bit.
it last
Yeah.
week.
So she appeared in that first and was apparently a big part of the story. I didn't look that far into what the story was. And then this is the other, pretty much the only other thing that she's been in since. She is, it says she is a Dathomirian. So she's a Night Sister, technically.
She is,
Yeah.
but not.
She is raised by a former Night Sister.
Yeah. So it's like wishy-washy, but like if you like look at the outfit, it does look like a traditional like Night Sister inspired thing.
Like,
which is like
she herself was never like a part of the clan of witches.
Yeah.
But I think her mother was. That's the implication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, in the comics so far, she hasn't used any sort of like Night Sister powers, but who knows? She might. I don't know if she did it in the game. But
So now you have
no.
three.
I think she didn't she?
I don't.
She caused an explosion. She had a few swords.
Yeah.
She's a certified girl boss, so that's
Yes.
what matters.
Now, Jamie, now you have 3 sniper type assassins to cosplay.
Who's the third?
Zam.
Zam.
And Death Stick.
And
all
Death
3
Stick.
badasses.
There we go. I gotta finish
love this-
Enfys first.
I love
Enfys
this
Nest is the
new-
first.
This new Star Wars archetype of like badass female bounty hunter, because
And then
all
a
of
bunch of
great.
dads.
all of them,
Badass female bounty hunter, and then a bunch of dads.
Yeah,
no
all
in
of them
between.
are so cool.
Dengar and Valance are a couple of dads
Like in this issue,
without
she
a
doesn't-
son.
Doesn't she use the same droids that Zam Wessel used in Attack
I
of
think
the
so.
Clones?
Something
yeah,
similar.
the one that
at least.
Obi-Wan rides. Yeah, it looks like it.
There's a lot of them.
There are a lot of them. There's like 3, but I love that. So yeah, she busts down this door where Valance and Dengar are.
Also, speaking of episode 2, I'm pretty sure that's like the same speeder that Obi-Wan and Anakin used too.
Oil up a little.
Oh, my bad.
I don't think it's the same, but it's definitely inspired.
Or it's like
by
the concept or
Star Wars.
something. Yeah.
It definitely looks. It's got the twin engines.
Yeah.
It's definitely a
front.
speeder from Star Wars.
Oh yeah. And he does the whole dive bomb that Anakin does, and he's like laughing about it. A lot of episode 2 feels here.
But anyway, we haven't talked about it at all. But so while this is also happening, you have Taonga, and I think it's Taonga is the character I want to say, which is, so this goes back to because this is a part of a crossover within pre-existing runs of comics. So like there's a reason why this is Bounty Hunters 14. This is in the 14th issue of War of the Bounty Hunters, but it is the 14th Bounty Hunters issue.
Yeah.
So there is still carryover story from the previous 2 arcs. So there's references of Cordelia, who is she's the daughter of essentially, like, it was a Romeo and Juliet story happened between 2 crime syndicates, and she's like the daughter of the Romeo and Juliet who can solve the syndicate problems because she's technically the heir to both of them. So that makes her a target. So that's been a thing. And then
Okay. That makes sense. Because honestly, reading that subplot without reading the entire thing, I was
Very
like,
confused.
I don't understand who these people are, where they came
Yes.
from, why it's
And
important
so-
that there's an heir. So the only thing that was really cool was they had a trained Nexu who like attacked people, which was,
was just
really
about
fun
to
to
say,
see.
That was sick.
Another episode 2 vibe was the Nexu.
There we go.
Nexu.
Yeah. So they're talking about in this subplot. So Nakano Lash was Valance's mentor, and in the first arc of the comic, it shows like she wasn't going to kill this woman's like unborn child, because like that was the job they were all on. Valance, Boba Fett, Bosk, and their boss was like to kill the heir. Like the son, like essentially Romeo put a hit out on Juliet, and she was like, "No way, Jose," and it caused some problems in the syndicate. And then Valance was like taking care of the kid. He like found the kid. It was a whole thing. But in that arc, this woman Tonga, I can't remember if Tonga is the wife or the main character, but she was attacked by Boba Fett and like almost killed by Boba Fett. So that's why she's in part of the War of the Bounty Hunters, because she wants to kill Boba Fett she wants vengeance for almost killing her. So that's like that motivation. But now they're getting caught up in the whole Crimson Dawn thing. And yeah, that's why
All tying in.
that's why that exists in this comic, because it's very connected to what came before it.
Okay. It's good to know.
Yeah. And we all love a good Nexu as
Good
a pet.
Nexu.
So.
Love Nexus.
And
Too many
speaking of, I want to get your thoughts on Manaru or Manaru, which is like Dengar's.
Manure?
No,
What?
Dengar's like wife.
Newer.
No.
What? Seinfeld.
Oh, that was his wife?
I question mark wife, girlfriend, daughter.
Girlfriend?
I mean,
Sister?
That was
Girlfriend?
odd.
What's going on there? Yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting whenever you see a bounty hunter with some sort of relationship like that. It's like, oh, is it like their actual family? Is it someone that it's like literally like a couple relationship? It's unclear, and it's kind of scary that like Jabba has like whoever it is just like locked in a cage, and there's Bib Fortuna again.
dude, Bib is
he's
having
just
a
everywhere.
year, man. He's having a moment.
The year of Bib.
But you're a Bib. The summer of Bib.
What is it that Dengar has to tell Valance?
That he's fighting for this woman.
Okay.
I think that he has a heart. He's like, listen, I'm
That's
doing
what it
this
is?
for a
That's
reason.
it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Dengar's like this cold dude all the time that we assume is like this asshole.
Yeah.
That's always portrayed, but he's being motivated by his loved one or whoever who's been imprisoned by Jabba. So he's always like yelling at. He has his own motivations, and he hasn't really revealed that to Valance. Because Valance now he associates with that because he's had this previous connection with Cordelia, this girl who he like is helping raise. He had to give to his ex-girlfriend who like is in the rebellion, and it's a whole thing. Bounty Hunters is surprisingly good. There's a lot going on.
They're just making everybody a dad, giving everybody some sort of
Yeah,
relationship.
it was
someone to
very
care about.
Mando. Valance is definitely another one of the Star Wars dads.
Yeah.
He like actually is. I realized you made a joke about that earlier, AJ, and I didn't know if you had read the previous issues, but like he is the same archetype. Like he is Star Wars dad.
Bunch of dads and badass lady bounty hunters.
But like, can you put like look at this? Like look at this bottom panel of freaking Death Stick coming through the smoke with
with
red,
the red
eyes.
So
Yeah.
cool.
I'm like, oh my god, she's so cool.
Yeah. Maybe that's a better look. I don't know.
Also, I love how her name is Death Stick. Also, like that's that's incredible.
The name's Black Tar Heroin.
Yeah, right. My name is Cigarettes.
The name's Cigarettes. I like
It's good. It's good.
I also like how her speech bubbles were in like funny little.
I'm imagining her with like the Dathomirian.
Me too. Yeah.
The spooky accent.
Yeah.
Spooky.
This
I like
squiggly line means spooky talk.
This means spooky. Hey, it's already spooky season. Halloween's the next holiday, so
Yeah, it's Halloween now. But I like how the issue ends with like the same type of unhooding of Kira as in the Boba Fett, Bounty Hunters #1, War of the Bounty Hunters #1. With Kira, like, hey, here I am. You can wait to kill them later. It's like the same thing. It's like, okay, how many times have we Kira, take the hood off? We don't need the hood. We get it.
It's raining.
Yeah, but it does imply that she has.
Why's she taking it off if it's raining?
Kira has a whole grand plan right now that we've only got the little. We're just dipping our toe into it because if she has Death Stick working the whole Valance angle, like that's a whole different point than Han and our main trio. Leia and Lando and Luke, like she's got some plan, and I'm excited to see what it is. And this is Charles Soule who's writing the main run, so I'm confident that he will deliver a coherent and cool story, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. And speaking of which, I think there is a certain book, Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule, which we're going to talk about.
Perfect transition, Levi. Ooh. So what we're going to do here is the whole point of the book club is to talk about these books that we don't get to talk about as much, especially with the High Republic, War of the Bounty Hunters, all that. And on our podcast, we did talk about Light of the Jedi a little bit, right, guys?
Yep. We did 2 episodes. We split it in half, and we chatted about part 1 and then part 2.
I don't know if people loved it that much, as those episodes seem to dip a little bit, but nonetheless, we're going to talk about it here. This is the place for it. So what we're going to do is talk about Light of the Jedi very briefly, Into the Dark, and 2 of these guys, Jamie and Levi, have finished Rising Storm, which is amazing. I'm on chapter 51, so I've only got 20 more to go. I'm almost there.
He asked me earlier today. He's just like, "You're only on 16, Matt?
We on 16." I'm not gonna be able to talk about this book until like December.
Wait,
Sorry,
Michelle,
guys.
poor boy.
You kicked off the book club.
Kicked off book club.
I thought I was
no.
kicked off.
Everyone each week will kick someone off.
That's fair.
Yeah, fun fact, Levi
You
almost
are
wasn't on
the
this
weakest
episode.
link.
You
I don't know. I think I'm the weakest link, but no. I'm being
literally
mean to
earlier
myself.
today, AJ was like, "Oh, so since you finished it, what's a chapter of the book that you remember that was like really good?" And he like asked me like number wise, and my brain is literally like trying to figure out like the numbers like of the chapters because like that's just straight up not how my brain processes information. Like I'm the kind of person like when I would take tests in school and then you'd ask your friends afterwards like, "Oh, what'd you get for like number whatever?" I would literally be like, "I don't even know what that question was," and they would stare at me like I was like off the rails, and I'm like, I literally have no idea. I couldn't tell you what I said. I couldn't tell you what the question was. So, but hey, I do retain the knowledge. I just don't retain
all that matters.
the numbers.
I was curious in
Chapter Elzar.
Chapter Elzar.
Yes.
And so I told AJ, he's like, "Oh, what do I have that's going to be like really epic?" And I'm like, the load-in chapters, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Anyway,
you're spoiling
Light
Matt
of the
more than you're
Jedi.
spoiling me. Anyways,
Light of the Jedi.
Light of the Jedi
Light of
by
the Jedi.
Charles Soule. Amazing book. Where do we begin?
Yeah. I like the loading chapters.
I
Yeah, I like
like
the
loading
the
chapters.
loaded
Yeah, I
chapters.
like the
the Light of
loading
the
chapters.
Jedi.
Loading chapters are great.
Yeah,
No, but really, Light of the Jedi. My favorite group of characters is the Elfrona team. So Indira Stokes,
Indira Stokes,
Loden, Bell, and Porter. And Ember.
And
Ember best doggo.
Ember is the best doggo. I love how they have worked this in where there is a dog that is a core part of the team, and it's just so exciting to see. I loved everything that was like happening on Elfrona, and like I love how it sets up the Jedi in a way where it's like, okay, yeah, we have like the main temple on Coruscant, but there are these outposts around the galaxy, and it's something that isn't acted on in the prequels. Like it's alluded to that there are the other like temples across the galaxy, but we never see them. So it was great to see that like actually happening within the High Republic, and then obviously we get more knowledge with the whole opening of the Starlight Beacon.
I am loving and loved in Light of the Jedi, and I will bring Rising Storm a little bit into it. But at this point in time, how the Jedi feel like Knights of the Round Table, which has explicitly been a inspiration of this era, but how Avar is like the marshal, and you have Stellan, who's the the council member, and then Elzar's his own kind of marshal. Like just these like designations and the way they operate in society is just super cool. And I bring it up because in Light of the Jedi, my favorite chapter was actually when Elzar and Avar are on their like detective journey to Naboo, and they talk to San Tekkas.
Yeah.
And they're on the island from Attack of the Clones, and they see the island. They're in the same lake, but they see the island from Attack of the Clones, and they make references to essentially reference book material, how like there's a poet there, and like he writes these things, and like that's all from the novel of Attack of the Clones. I'm like, I love that, but just that vibe, like because I can fully imagine the islands of Italy, but Naboo in my mind, like so clearly that it sticks out like I'm watching a movie. That I'm seeing Avar Kriss and Elzar Mann with the San Tekkas. I'm like, and they're like hyperspace pioneers, and they're like blazing trails and through the galaxy. I'm like, this is just so cool. I'm like,
the hyperspace prospectors.
Thank you.
With their sister Mari Santeca, who is another really cool addition to Star Wars lore. I don't know how spoilery we can get with this discussion, but
with Light of the Jedi, the book has been out since January.
Yeah, we can go all in.
It's now July. We can talk about all of it.
All right.
So
Mari Santeca in the tube using the Force to like plot out
which, may I add,
lanes.
Was first depicted today in High Republic Adventures. We have our first look at Uttersound and Mari Santeca and the Gaze Electric as a whole ship today in comics.
So was that Star Wars Adventures or the High Republic Adventures?
It was a High Republic adventure within Star Wars Adventures.
Tales of Villainy. Yeah, I discovered that later, Jamie. So
okay,
the comic
I
shop
really wanted to
have
get that one.
I know.
We gotta go on the lookout for it.
Dude,
tomorrow.
the Gaze Electric is a thick ship.
Oh, I gotta look this up now.
Yes, it needs to be. My lights keep flickering. The name, the Gaze Electric, like you guys know, like I love a good like ship name for like a Star Wars spaceship, and the Gaze Electric is up there. Like
that is not how I pictured it looking. That looks huge.
It's huge. I mean,
Matt, are you talking about the Gaze Electric or Martian?
Both,
because you had the same reaction to both.
Everybody's beefier than I picture in the
everyone
and
everything.
Everything is beefier.
I don't know. Okay, so with the Nihil, also, we haven't even scratched the surface with them. Of
Right.
course, they're all gonna be like huge, like beefy, like warriors. Like
Lorna
that's like,
D,
literally
another
their MO.
certified girl boss.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The thing with Lorna Z, and like you guys will come around to it, but like
She's my
within
favorite.
the Light of the Jedi, we really don't get as much of a glimpse in the Nihil as we do as in the Rising Storm. Like we have like the setup of it, but we really like dive into it more in Rising Storm, so we can't really talk about that. But
Well, I'm already starting to get those vibes. I got to the chapter where
Have you been to
Marchion
Grisal?
gives Pan Ada his helmet, and he starts like getting electrocuted.
yeah.
Oh, and
So-
his big
Talking to-
speech. Did you get to the big speech?
That's
I
like
think
right
so.
after that.
It should be.
Then no, back to Light of the Jedi. Reel
Alright,
it
back to Light of the
in.
Jedi.
Reel it in. Back to Light of the Jedi.
Wait, one more
I
thing.
do want to say. Oh, go ahead.
No space. That's going to be depicted at some point, right?
Well, we just got that leaked. So the description for the third High Republic. Sorry,
Is that a swoop bike?
yeah,
Holy
Swoop City's
crap.
coming for me. Sorry,
Swoop
I have-
City.
I have my window open.
Okay.
At the intersection. So the third High Republic like trade paperback comic run. So this doesn't come out till like the middle of 2022. That description for like inside purposes distribution got leaked, and it describes the Jedi. I don't want to spoil like who's going, but them going to no space and like assaulting the Nile in no space. I'm like,
So-
that's sweet. Like
Dude,
that's
So,
so
like,
psyched.
That is
High
cool.
Republic Wave 3? Are you talking about?
probably
Rumor?
phase 2, wave 1.
Phase 2 of Wave. We're in Wave 2.
No, we're not. Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
For the
we're
High
in wave
Republic.
two.
I'm talking phase 2, wave 1.
You think we're gonna? I think we're gonna get one more
I mean,
book, comic run, all that jazz.
this is
for
this
wave-
is, but this I just want to.
Question to clarify. So the books that were released earlier this year, that
Yes.
obviously is Phase
We're
1.
still
Wave
in
one.
we're still in phase 1 right
But
now.
it's Phase 1,
Phase
Wave
one.
1, and then
Wave
the
one.
newest release is Rising
wave
Storm
2.
in is Wave 2.
And
Okay,
we,
so
we presume that wave 3 will
phase
come
2.
out. Yeah, I'm saying this is the beginning of phase 2
Wow,
because
so
this
that's
is because these are issues like 10 through 15, and in comic
a lot
time,
of phases.
that's like 6 months from now. You know, that's
I
that's
know
a long
that-
ways.
At least like recently, like
A
for
year.
like buying comics, like AJ and I have been getting just like the single like issues, and we haven't gotten volumes recently. But I feel like with the High Republic, we will actually like be getting them just to like have everything together. And so like I'm excited to just like have like the full like book of them again, because I really haven't like bought comics like that, and like when I was like still reading like the Walking Dead comics like religiously, like that was like the last time I really like bought the volume comics, and it's been a while.
But
Mhm.
yes, so that description for the third volume got leaked, and that's why we know they're going to no space. But what I wanted to say was that Grizzle, I believe it's called Grizzle, the moon or the planet where the Grizzle, I mean, is it
Grizal,
Grizal? Where the Nile are in the Rising Storm, which I know we've all seen at this point described, is
Oh, the
literally
prison
like a freaking Batman villain. Like it's so good. It's like
Yeah.
the drenching rain, and it's an old prison. I'm like,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
like Arkham Asylum, right? Like this is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cool. I
Yeah,
just-
that
I
is
just
that was
love-
a cool setting.
I just love that setting so much because you'll see it more in the book because obviously the Nile are there, but just the way it's described is like Arkham Asylum in the middle of the jungle while it's pouring rain, and it's like dark. It's a dark and stormy night, and the Nile are afoot. I'm like, yes, I love this.
The audiobook even adds in like the rain effects while you're
Oh,
there,
yeah.
and it's cool. But
It sounds really cool.
but Light of the Jedi.
Light
So-
of the Jedi.
My thing with Light of the Jedi is my quote, like, you know, you see like a commercial for something and it's like 3 thumbs up, like amazing,
Wow,
great start to
3!
this. 3 thumbs up,
3
4 thumbs up from Dexter
crazy.
Dexter Jetster. So my big
Charles
thing
Soule would
is
give it that.
it was the perfect
Yes.
like foundation to the building of the High Republic.
Yeah.
And, you know, Rising Storm and Into the Dark, which spoiler alert, I didn't read Into the Dark, guys. So how am I part of a book club?
But
So,
we'll talk about it.
These are all
so.
like, you know, the next
High five,
floors
Jamie, we
of
read
this
it.
skyscraper.
I've read Into the Dark in like 2 days. You read it too, Matt?
I was gonna say I read Into the Dark like 5 months ago. I should be getting too hyped. Hey, all right.
Our book habits are like a normal person's book habits. They're across the map. Some days you'll read it and you can't put it down, and then some days you read 2 pages, put it down, and then it's like 6 months later and you're like, whoa, I gotta finish that. So that was me with Into the Dark. I devoured Light of the Jedi and then Test of Courage, and then I couldn't get into the Dark until right before everything else came out because I wanted to read it before Rising Storm.
It's
Here we are.
It's our definitive Drengir content.
Oh yeah,
The big.
Nate,
I'm not
I
done
don't
with
wanna
Light of the
start- I
Jedi
don't
quite
wanna-
yet.
Yeah, we should keep to Light of the Jedi. We'll talk
Yeah,
about the Grand
sorry.
Gear
yeah,
later.
yeah. Sorry.
With Light of the Jedi, I don't know how much more we could talk about it all day, literally. But it begins with the great hyperspace disaster, which is a total mess, and it was a cool thing to see in Star Wars.
I loved
'Cause
Hetzal. The
we
Yeah,
setting.
take
that was
hyper.
really cool.
It was
Yeah.
cool to just see like
The rooted moon.
the limited
Yeah.
amounts
And the
of
fruited moon.
hyper lanes. And
Yeah.
we really got to see the beginning, and this is what Matt wanted all along. Like we're seeing technology that
Progresses.
in
That
the
seems to-
sequels and the originals we take for granted, hyperspace
Yeah.
travel and
Well,
Bacta.
the thing about Light of the Jedi that I love so much is that it really addresses so many things that we see in later Star Wars content. Like we have hyperspace tracking. Like that's one of my favorite things is when,
Yeah.
this guy gets together and he's like, let's get like 30,000 droids or however many droids he gets.
Supercomputer, yeah.
Yeah, and,
Mhm.
and puts them all together to make this giant, like, valley-long supercomputer just to calculate where the points, where the next hyperspace emergence will arrive. And it's like, that same technology is now, like, the size of, like, a flux capacitor hidden in the back of one Star Destroyer being hopped around others, 230-something or 260-something years later. I love that kind of technology progression. And while it's not exactly like super clear, I really love the end, the Battle of Kerr Nebula, or is it just Kerr?
It's technically the Kerr Nebula, but
Yeah, Battle of the Kerr Nebula, where Marchion
Stop.
Ro weaponizes hyperspace. Again, something that people were complaining about in, the sequels, like, why didn't anybody use this? We have perfect examples of people using it in canon history now,
and
for
why it
warfare.
wasn't used by sane militaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
literally
Exactly.
sacrificed almost every single
Yeah.
unit in that battle.
They
that
wipe
Nihil
out an
Tempest,
entire Tempest.
the Tempest, because so essentially what happens is Marchion programs all of the hyperdrives to just start popping in and out like randomly, and it's just chaos. And it's like one of the coolest, craziest
Yeah.
things I've read in a Star Wars.
Rest
That's
in
like-
peace, Wet Bub
Oh, what bub?
And Kasib. But yeah, Wet
And
Bub.
Cassiv.
and Cassiv. Yeah.
That's like another like super important like chunk of it as well, like with how the Nihil has like this technology in general. So like Mari Santeca creates all of these maps, and she is literally being held hostage by the Nihil, and we don't know how that even like happened in the first place. And so
Yeah.
she's making all these maps, and so with all of the Nihil ships, they each have the paths, and so like they each have the hyperdrive like pre-programmed, and it's literally like the crews don't have any access to it. Marchion Ro literally controls all of them, or whoever the Tempest Runner is controls all of it. It's just like, and they can go at any moment. So like we have like that moment at the end of Light of the Jedi in which all of the ships just make the
Yeah.
jump, and those people in the ships literally have no control over what's happening because they are being controlled by their higher power in Marchion Ro. And it's like,
It's such a
this guy's
cool move.
psychopath.
Like, again, Marchion Ro is such a cool villain. Like, that
He's
is
so
such-
good.
Just so cool.
Just
Oh
wait.
yeah, I'm pumped, dude. Like the stuff I've seen for the Rising Storm so far has me like just totally jazzed on Marchion Ro. Just totally jazzed. But another thing I like about Mari Santeca is the whole using the Force to like chart hyperspace lanes or like navigate, because we see that we see that with the Chiss and the Skywalkers, and we see that also with the Navigators for Snoke.
Ooh,
Yes.
yeah.
Which
Mhm.
I absolutely love those guys. I want
They're
to
in
see
one
them.
shot, Matt. There are those purple sweet dudes.
Yeah, they're
in
just
one
Yeah,
shot.
they're just
They're
just
amazing.
chilling. I love them. I want to see them. I want to see them come back. I want to see them fleshed out. I bet we will
Everyone-
someday.
Remember when
but-
people lost it over that like toy leak with them in it and the
Yeah.
and the little like hourglass thing? People were like, "What does it mean?"
I remember
And
that.
it's in like literally the background in one shot.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times.
Speaking of end of the Light of the Jedi, Jamie mentioned we see the Alfrona crew there
Mhm.
with
Loden,
my
Bell,
favorite.
You're another certified girl boss.
Yes,
Bell.
Yeah.
and Porter.
Yeah.
Ember is a certified girl boss as well.
Ember is certified girl boss, and she just keeps getting better in Rising Storm. I just gotta say.
I love her.
So,
But
certified girl
my
boss.
She does shine.
my favorite relationship, my
Shines
favorite
bright like an
relationship
ember. Sorry.
in that book
Thanks.
is Loden and Bell, master and apprentice, working
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
Loden Greatstorm, Bell Zedifar. And it is heartbreaking at the end. Jamie and Levi kind of teased about the Loden chapters of Rising Storm, which I haven't gotten to yet. Matt hasn't gotten to, so we're not going to talk about those.
It's not a full spoiler because the way that Light of the Jedi ends is we know he's still alive, and we know that he will show up again. Right. So like you're going to expect he's going to show up within the Rising Storm, and that's all we can say. So
Loden plays Mr. Good Guy, and
he's so cool.
Mr. Good Guy Jedi. He chases down or is it like a whole family of farmers? It's like a husband and 2 kids.
Husband, wife, 2 kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Then Nihil captures them, but that wasn't really part of the plan at all. Like Marchion wrote in
by Marchion. Marchion's the one who makes the call to tell them.
Yeah, and in the audiobook, you can tell because it was like an old woman Marchion voice, and I was like, wait, that sounds like Marchion Rowe. So that was like a cool little thing for the
that's funny.
For the audio.
I was a dummy and I didn't notice at all.
But anyways,
I was the person who read it and didn't listen to it.
I definitely didn't listen to it. Yeah.
You guys didn't read it in Marchion Rowe's voice automatically.
No.
I like how we can have the 2 audiobook guys and then the actual reading
2
people.
readers.
So like I'll always prefer reading it first and then going back if we need to, because like what tends to happen is like you'll like be raving about the different production like throughout the thing of it, and I'm like, all right, well let me read it first and then like I'll listen to it, because I like to have the voice in my head first instead of accidentally hearing a character that kind of sounds like Dr. Evil.
Yeah,
which happens in the Rising Storm, and I was not a fan of.
Who was that
Dr. Evil?
In the Rising Storm?
It was the inventor that...
The inventor.
Uttersong?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Back to Light of the Jedi. Long story short, Marchion Rowe captures Loden Greatstorm and the farmer family. He absolutely slaughters the farmer family.
No, he doesn't. He just slaughters the dad. The rest of them get away. The Jedi rescue the rest of them. He just kills
in my
the
version,
dad.
He slaughtered the whole family. He just slaughters the dad. Very gruesome. And he takes Loden...
right in front of Lorna D.
Yeah, I absolutely love how casual it is.
He used the lightsaber with it too.
The dad is unconscious, lying on the ground, and then he's like, "Oh, look at this lightsaber! Slice!" And just slices the dad while he's unconscious. And it's like, "What are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love Marchion Rowe with the lightsaber. By the way, just want to point that out.
It is sweet.
So friggin' cool. All right,
it's sweet.
Yeah, Marchion. The visual of Marchion with
a yellow lightsaber, which is just I think a perfect color for him. I think it really goes with his whole ensemble.
By the way, the proper pronunciation is apparently Marchion.
Marchion.
We're sticking with Marchion.
Another one that bothers me is Avar, because like when I was reading it, I kept saying Avar because that's just what I would think, but apparently it's Avar.
I'm not with you there, but I see your point.
I don't know what it's supposed to be.
Do you read Marchion Rowe's lines in the voice that's given in the audiobook?
I've never heard.
That's what I do in the comics.
It's
great. I honestly don't.
In the audiobook.
It's like such a good voice.
Like I love the Marchion Rowe voice for the audiobook, but like I don't read it in that voice. Sorry.
Shame.
How does your Marchion sound to you?
It's just like a gravelly, like low kind of.
Gravelly.
Voice.
Yeah.
Gravelly. Yeah. Wow. No, that's not. Wow.
But like youthful. He's kind of young in my mind.
Well, yeah.
He's like 30s.
He's very creepy in the audiobook.
He kind of sounds like Jack White.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt, your depiction of him is Jack White.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. Greasy, lanky, awkward. That's how I pictured him. Not this big buff dude. Big buff
Jack
dreamboat. Freaking Marchion Rowe.
The wreck punk is just the white stripes.
Oh my god!
Imagine if Marchion Rowe was like had a band.
Blasting 7 Nation Army as they.
Dude, yes.
You wish, but I wish. I love this little addition. So like one of my all-time favorite, just like random side topics within Star Wars is just popular music within Star Wars, and actually getting like a genre that's called wreck punk is absolutely
music in Star Wars.
Incredible. Well, that's another like event. Another
Chaddick is my girl for that. If you've read Alphabet Squadron, she's where you go for the music. She's the best musical character in Star Wars.
See, these are the things. Is we have these.
I've been poking Jamie to make the YouTube video about it, but it's coming. It's coming.
I'm compiling my research. The biggest thing is there's a lot of different references within the books, and so like you just mentioned from Alphabet Squadron, this in Light of the Jedi, and it's mentioned again in Rising Storm. And with the books, you don't actually have like an audio version available of like what it actually sounds like. In the audiobook, they just kind of tossed like some like random like punk-ish music in the background, and it's just like, I want to know, is this real rec punk or is this just stock music
I'm
that you're
imagining
saying
like
is rec punk?
I'm imagining like Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
when
Like,
they're
definitely.
when they're
absolute
playing that.
'Cause the whole thing-
insanity of that sort.
The whole thing around wreck punk is that it's all instruments made from wrecked ships. That was like
It's
the whole.
so
That
good.
was how they described it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, that's gotta be
Definitely
so cool.
Fury Road.
Like I like.
Yeah.
What's the music from Fallen Order? I almost pictured it like that.
That is
The
Mongolian
intro
one,
throat singing.
The Who, the HU, yeah.
The Who, the HU, they are a Mongolian throat singing band, but it's rock. So like it's that kind of thing. Like that's high on my list of things. And so like I always talk about like my like image of what Star Wars popular music is some like crazy like produced by a computer, like a synthy type thing, and then we got like crazy business going on at Rec Punk and like the Cantina Band and all that nonsense. So
yeah, my favorite in
Hey, that's
music for Star
jizz.
Wars. Yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
I wasn't
Jizz,
gonna
Cantina
say it.
music. Why? It's canon.
It's canon.
Jizz. Anyway, my favorite music in Star Wars is definitely the music in the cantina in the Episode 1 video game.
Oh my god! And we broke the game.
Where the Wookiee shoots you if you jump on stage with his guitar.
Yep.
Yep.
Go play the game. It's fun.
It is amazing. Have you ever played that, Levi? Have you ever played the Episode 1 video game?
Oh, for some reason in my head I thought you meant you mean like the one with no. Well, yes, but no.
The one where the
one with
camera's
Qui-Gon.
like
it's a
almost aerial. It's like
yeah, the fixed. It's
Yeah,
like
the
a
PS
weird. It's like an almost Resident Evil-esque fixed camera. Yeah,
Yeah, PS1.
or more like Metal Gear. I
we'll
guess.
play it in
PC.
August when you come.
Dude,
Oh, no, we
played
won't
it,
because
it's
Matt
been a
won't be
while.
around.
I'll be around. Literally, I'll be around like that Saturday. I just won't be around that Friday. Once Saturday
Okay.
rolls around, I'll be.
All
I
right,
can
all
hang
right.
out.
We'll
So
make
if you're
it.
around for like the weekend,
We'll make
time
it
for
work. We'll make it
Yeah.
work. Let's cut this out.
Cut that out.
Yeah.
Of course.
Couple cuts here.
So
Couple
Into the
cuts.
Dark is the
Yep.
next book.
Yes. Oh, the Drengir. I am in love with the Drengir.
Space Planes.
With the Drengir?
Meat,
Space plants?
meat.
Yeah.
Meat,
Because
meat.
dude, I love them. Meat. I love
love
how
it.
they laugh. It's so funny how they laugh. They just rustle their leaves. They sit there and they go. It's funny, dude. It's so funny to me. you can
I've
tell
never said-
Drengir a joke and they're like.
Who wants to give the background on
The
Drengir?
Drengir.
What's
okay,
the
they're-
deal with the Drengir?
What is the deal?
So
they're-
rooted somehow in the dark side. So
Yeah.
we really see them in the comics and in
Sith.
Into the Dark, right? Yeah.
They're
So
these ancient plants that have their origins in the dark side or are very oriented towards the dark
In
side.
the comics, in the High Republic Marvel comics, that the Sith had some, and in the book themselves, because they talk about the Red Blades, the common moniker of the Sith. To people who don't know what Sith is, they talk about the manipulation of like the dark side and the Sith, and trying to make the Drengir do their own thing, but eventually the Sith tried to betray the Drengir, and the Drengir consumed them. And
The Sith tried to betray somebody? That doesn't sound very Sith.
that doesn't
oh
sound
man.
That sounds
What's
very
the deal's getting worse all the time?
uncharacteristic.
so we don't have like the origin. We will get it soon because we know what the great progenitor is coming.
Yeah.
And we know in the Rising Storm, super light spoiler, but it's they refer to the comics and they call it like Avar Chris's crusade, and I'm all about this.
Yes,
I'm like,
I've already heard that, and it's awesome.
I'm like,
That
this is
so
sick.
cool.
Like she's on a crusade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
the
like, that's-
Drengir Crusade.
I'm like,
She's a
that's
knight.
cool. I'm like, that's cool.
I love the Drengir, and I didn't know about that Sith origin, but I love that as well. Because one of the things that I'm always seeming to get into discussions with people online is about when the Force is out of balance and when it is in balance and all this jazz. And one of the things that I always try to say, the way I see it, is that when the Sith exist, the Force is out of balance, like forever. So even during the High Republic, when the Jedi are at their height, the Force is still out of balance. And I really like the idea that the Drengir are kind of like the dark side influence of the time. The Sith are thought to be extinct, but there's still this like ever-present dark side. And I love that the Sith may have had a hand in creating the Drengir, because that just, it further plays into how I see the balance of the Force versus non-balance and all that jazz. And getting into
I'd see that as a possibility, definitely, if the Sith created the Drengir, and then the Drengir just got out of hand, and they're like, no, go back, and then they like exiled them to like be secluded to the one planet, or station and the other planet. It's a little confusing with Into the Dark how they're on like 2 locations, but they're like closed off.
So the Amaxines built a station.
The Amaxines were that was their planet, I'm assuming.
Clan.
Yeah. And they had their own station, and then the Drengir were there fighting them. And then the Sith came along and put in these 4 statues, which made them all go to sleep, essentially, and just be regular plants. And then the Jedi came in, and the Jedi are just like, okay, there's something going on with these statues. This looks a little fishy. This reeks of Sith. Let's take them with us. And they took them back to Coruscant.
They cleansed them because they were like dark side.
This boggles my mind. This is such a hubris Jedi move. They go and they sit in the Jedi temple. They try to cleanse these 4 stones, and they're like, hey, there's actually nothing here. We took it away.
No.
The Sith is back where we left it. So they have to go and return them to the planet. It's
I really hope Out of the Shadows or any future High Republic content really explores how like Reith Silas and Comic Vitus and Orla Jareni, how they all feel about the fact that they just unleashed this giant plague that's spreading across the universe and destroying planets.
The next issue is we get Orla Jareni in main run, and then the next Adventures issue we get the Ghost Crew, the Vessel Crew.
Oh boy,
I
want to hear what they have to say about themselves.
I think you can indirectly, because it's indirectly their fault, but I feel like the hyperspace disaster and what the Nile did is really what caused their awakening, because that's what drove everyone to the Amaxine station.
But they were the ones who they took away.
I'm
not fully blaming them, but I do feel like they should feel guilty for what happened. Like I feel like just character-wise, they would feel guilty, even if it's not necessarily their fault.
Allow me to read a passage essentially from this is Star Wars: The High Republic, issue 4, Marvel, and this is a Drengir talking. Once the Drengir spread, it's spread. But I'm not gonna
spread. You gotta read it like a Drengir, dude.
No, there's too much. There's too much. This would take like 8. This would take like many minutes. Once the Drengir spread across the galaxy, feasting on flesh and bone wherever it was found, the harvest was abundant. The harvest was plentiful. So what I didn't really get to finish my thought, but I think the Drengir were like a natural dark side presence, and then the Sith, which I'll get into here,
they practice with them.
I don't think they corrupted them, I don't think they created them, but I think they corrupted them and like made it their own thing. So, and we continue. Others, Sith, saw our power and reaped alongside us, working together for the greatest gain. But nothing lasts forever. Soon they betrayed us, as was their nature, so they paid the price. Preparing what they could not kill, they plotted against, or fearing rather, I say not plotting. Fearing what they could not kill, they plotted against us. They trapped the first of us within their totems, forcing her to sleep, the Great Progenitor. And while the Great Progenitor slept, we slept also beneath the ground, until travelers stumbled upon the Progenitor, waking her from her slumber. And the comic itself is showing, well, for one, at any time the Drengir like consume people, it's like gnarly. It's like the gnarliest thing with the like you can see the roots going into their head there.
Yeah.
Those are eyes. You can't see well. But it's horrific. But
wait, was the Great in their ears? Oh nose.
The Great Progenitor wasn't on the Amaxine station though, right?
No, it was on the Drengir planet that
Reith
goes to. That Dez also goes
to. Dude, first of all, Des Ryden is one of my favorite characters in the High Republic, and I really, really hope we're not done with him. But he's taking like that oath. I forget the name of the oath.
The Barash Vow.
The Barash Vow, that's it. He's taking the Barash Vow, which we see in the Darth Vader comic.
Yes.
We see, and that's where he gets his lightsaber crystal. But anyway, the Barash Vow is like this thing where you go like just totally separate yourself from like everything. And just forge your connection to the Force and like kind of like listen to the Force and kind of figure out what your next move is, but you're not really doing anything. So he's basically just like, well, I'm done here. Bye. And he leaves. And I'm like, dude, Des Ryden was like my favorite character. I'm so depressed that he's gone. I really hope he comes back.
I don't think that they would just like,
I think he will.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think that they would allow him to like an able-bodied Jedi Knight at this moment in time. I don't think that they would like allow him to like go and take that extra training session.
Well, the problem is that his connection to the Force was damaged by the Drengir, so he's not really able-bodied. He's kind of like
He's crippled.
Yeah, I mean he's having a pretty rough time because not only his body was damaged by what the Drengir did to him, they poisoned him and they like bent him to his will and messed with his mind, but they also cut his connection off to the Force.
And I wanted to add though one last thing about that: the Drengir, I think, are probably going to be akin to what like the Rakghoul plague was like in Legends. So like long ago, there was this organic dark side thing that was happening because in this comic. It depicts them with like a lot of Sith, and so that was before 1,000 years ago. Because right now, the past 800 years before what we're reading, there's only 2 Sith, and this is like a lot of Sith who trapped us in the totems. Like this is a lot, and the Maxines are super ancient. So I think this is like way back here in the Old Republic. That's when the Drengir were a threat, and they got taken out.
And a note I wanted to bring up, a fun fact about the Maxine station is
Bloodline.
Bloodlines. He's not going to mention Bloodlines.
I'm not going to mention Bloodlines. I'll talk about that after. Rise of Kylo Ren. We see that's where Snoke is chilling when Ben Solo leaves Luke's temple after he destroys it. And
there's no Drengir there at that point.
There's no Drengir. No. It looks very peaceful and Snoke looks like a. When that came out, we didn't know that was the first appearance. No, Bloodlines was the first appearance of it, right? And then Rise of Kylo Ren, we see it.
No, it didn't. That was the first appearance. The Amaxine warriors were just there.
The Amaxine warriors, or a group of people calling themselves the Amaxine warriors, who were funded secretly by the First Order. It was like the first proxy war of the Cold War. Was fought between like this invading force that came from the unknown regions called the Amaxine warriors, and the New Republic having to deal, with that whole
napkin bombing.
Yeah, the napkin bombing, which is another event in history.
It's a great event.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I have not read Bloodlines. I'm dying, or Bloodline. I am dying to read.
Are you
Bloodline.
kidding me?
Okay,
I haven't either.
This is what's going to happen.
Are you crazy?
This is what's going to happen, Levi. I'm going to finish the First Order. I'm going to finish the High Republic book, and then I am going to buy all 3 Aftermaths and Bloodline, and I'm going to go on I'm just going to go nuts.
It's the book that defines the Cold War.
Literally.
And you're over here like,
you're Mr. Cold War.
Favorite era.
Well, okay.
You guys are a bunch of nuts.
I spent so much time on Wikipedia just looking things up like their historical events, but I need to read the book to actually connect.
Goodness gracious me.
Wasn't you don't find out, speaking of Bloodlines and the napkin bombing, you don't find out who leaves the note, but wasn't it implied that it was Ben?
Yeah.
Because he was like into calligraphy and all
that you see in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Nobody writes anymore.
So that would be something.
What did I miss? What did you just say?
Ben Solo wrote the napkin.
Wrote the note to Leia.
No, but what's about in The Last Jedi?
The calligraphy set that's mentioned in Bloodline is also on his desk in the hut scene.
Gotcha.
No, there's a whole deleted scene where Kylo Ren sits down and writes a letter, and it's really nice. He like sits down, it's a desk, he's got a little
he dips brush. The ink.
He's writing. It's like 20 minutes long. I'm really glad that Ryan cut that out, but it was good.
Yeah, Bloodline's good.
I'm dying to read it.
You also have to take advantage of our early access to what is it? Out of the Shadows?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm enjoying it thus far.
Ooh, there's a tease.
Working through that one next.
4 thumbs up.
Well, all four of my. Well, you know what? I'll put 3 up and 1 to the side.
Okay.
Whoa.
Really nuanced review there.
Still pretty good. 3.5 thumbs.
For Into the Dark, though, to go back really quick, I absolutely loved Orla
Jareni.
Wayseeker.
Who?
Such a cool concept.
OG Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
Wayseeker.
She also has the white bladed lightsaber, the Temple Guard style. So Sith Rey
purified from an old Sith staff. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Orla is just like
she's Sith War.
She's just a really, really, really cool character, and I originally was totally drawn to her character design before any of the content actually came out too, because she's an Umbaran, which is something we don't really see as much. And then it's
girl slap more girl boss.
So good. Another girl boss, but yeah.
There's a Twitter exchange that I always love, and I forget if it was one of the either High Republic or one of the Star Wars authors, I think, was reading Into the Dark, and he posted on Twitter in like all caps, and he goes, "I love oral." and then underneath in the comments, he's like, "Orla."
That screams like Daniel Jose Older. Can't confirm, but I feel like that was him.
I honestly think it might have been Daniel Jose Older. But whoever
Can't
it was,
confirm, but it sounds like it would have been him.
absolutely love. I will always remember that. Every time somebody says Orla Jareni, I think Oral Jareni.
That's so funny.
But
And then I guess just like to sum up, phase 1, wave 1, A Test of Courage. Very cute little book, good little story, and I absolutely adore Vernestra. Vernestra Bro, thank you very much.
Avon Staros, great ancestor of
love the Staros clan.
Another certified girl boss. There you go.
Yeah.
Put a stamp on there.
Listen, that's all that it is, and it's great.
I love all the family clans that they're creating in the High Republic that like play later.
Yeah.
Like the Santeca clan and the Staros clan.
What I've learned from this book club is that no one in this book club reads books. And it really...
Yes, we do.
I'm just playing, but it blows my mind that Matt has not read Bloodline. Like that is literally insane.
Hey, part of the reason of real life book clubs is to motivate each other to read the books.
It's true.
So at the moment, we're motivating each other to read the comics and stay updated with the High Republic. That's the current thing.
Yes.
And then I guess once this wave is over, maybe we'll move into other books, older books.
I'd love to do an episode on the Aftermath trilogy and Bloodline. Because those books, the Aftermath trilogy was like, so what they basically did was like, they gave J.J. Abrams a movie, and then they were like, "Hey, J.J., give us a book." And he was like, "All right, I will influence this Aftermath trilogy." And they were like, "Great, cool." Then they gave Ryan Johnson a movie, and they're like, "Hey, Ryan, give us a book." And he's like, "All right, I will influence Bloodlines." And so like you have both of those directors with their own books that are like attached to the movies. The Aftermath trilogy is directly attached to The Force Awakens and also like sets up The Rise of Skywalker.
It's like the Sistine Chapel. Ryan came in and touched Claudia Gray's finger.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
That's how Bloodline was created.
100%. I would not be surprised because it's considered to be like one of the best canon books.
Yes.
So I need to read it. Like
you didn't even mention the best thing that comes out of those books. The Aftermath books.
Aftermath?
Oh, Aftermath.
Aftermath is certainly one of the most influential in canon, but I don't think they're considered some of the best.
Cubbanth.
But no, I mean,
Vanth Refrigeration.
They are really great in the lore aspects of them, and in my opinion, I think
you know who else is in Aftermath? A certified girl boss, Ray Sloan.
Ray Sloan,
best girl boss.
I always liked
but really,
what's her name?
No,
the
Zabrak
assassin.
Oh, Jas Amari.
Jas Amari or Jas Amari. Yeah, I always liked her a lot.
Yes.
I liked all of them.
Nephew, or rather niece of Sugi.
Niece of Sugi, yeah, from the Clone Wars. And then Sinjir Rath.
Jamie's just like, so Jamie, let me break it down. So you remember the Akira Kurosawa episode of the Clone Wars season 2? It's called Bounty Hunters, and there's this Zabrak there, and she's got a cool ponytail, and her name's Sugi, and she's got this cool ship. You see her in the background in some other episodes. Well, her niece is Jas, and she's in Aftermath, and that's why Jas in the book is like, "Hey, Embo, I remember you from my childhood," and that's cool. Dengar's also there, and they all like know each other.
And she tries to assassinate Leia on Endor.
She does assassinate Endor.
She
Gosh,
tried.
There's so much content.
And then there's Sinjir Rath Velis and his boyfriend / husband.
The hardest part of trying to keep track of all of it is like you have like the bits that like you like really really like and like are like hyper fixated on, and then sometimes you feel like you don't know enough about it. AKA every time I say something about the clones, and then Levi shows me up about like a pilot in the 501st that I can't remember, and I'm like,
who
the heck is that?
Are you talking about 5'9" Hawk?
Hunter?
5'9" Hawk? Hawk is 6 foot. He is 6 feet. Just want to clarify.
And so like, and there's just like so many subparts to it, and it's tough to be like a fan of all of the things and just try to keep everything straight. And we're trying our best to just make it make sense because it is finally making sense.
You are right about this book club. It will push me to actually read more books instead of just constantly obsessively digesting every bit of content from the books that isn't the actual word on the page.
Who's another one of my favorite characters from High Republic? The guy in the suit plays a big role in Rising. Yeah, Orbital Lin, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Oh yeah, the archivist.
He's an Ugor who first appeared in Solo: A Star Wars
right.
Story.
That's right.
Me, Jamie, and Matt are the like his interiors, and then Levi's the suit that keeps us like kind of like he keeps all the canon information together. So
Yeah.
if there's
For
a
those
leak, it's just like
literally, Orbalin is literally like a big like booger. He's just a big
Booger
lump
man.
of goo, but he's in like a suit, so he can like walk around. But he like this. It just sounds
appeared-
oh
awful.
my
Matt,
his
he
voice.
So
is
funny.
great.
So like that's good in the audiobook.
What you read? You read the Rancor issue, right? With
Yeah.
he's in that. He's like when
Yeah.
Keeve is like looking at Skier and there's like the Snake Man. Orbalin runs in. It's like
He's floating around.
and he's in a suit and he's like I'm a spaceman, but he's like we gotta go.
Yeah, right.
Orbalin.
I remember that. Okay. Well,
he'll show up in Rising Storm.
He already showed up in the Rising Storm.
Okay.
That was the chapter I read
there.
last night.
He's there.
Last night. But I googled his race because I always have to do that for all of the races that appear.
Don't
I like pause.
Google anything.
No,
I'll
I
be
just
like,
Google
I know you want to like look up what the different alien species are, but I've heard the pages are getting updated very quickly, and if you don't want to get spoiled, Matt, don't look anything up
But I know what
because
Matt's
it
gonna
will
say.
just be there.
Go ahead, Matt. You take it because I know you go take it. Go.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I don't care about spoilers anyway. I do kind of care about spoilers for these though.
No,
so.
I mean Matt, say the thing you were gonna say about him, about the Ugor.
Well, I was just gonna say I paused and I googled him and there's a picture of his species on Wikipedia and it looks cool.
Oh
but,
well, they're in Solo. The guys in Solo.
That's that's where the picture is from.
Yeah,
which is cool because it's like a live action like picture of a production designed suit, which is really cool. I really love those. Like it looks like
it looks like a Scooby-Doo villain. It's pretty funny.
It's the same with like Tam Posla, who never appears on screen, at least as far as I know.
That's not true.
I love his look.
That's not true.
He appears on screen? Where?
I'll come at you, Matt.
Please.
Tam Posla is on Vandor in Solo. He's
Show me where. I love that. I love his design.
And Tam Posla all over Afra. And
well, yeah, I know that.
In the background.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell's even going on right now, but I just want to bring this back full circle again, back to War of the Bounty Hunters. One scene that was really cool. I forget what planet they are on, but they're literally fighting the Crimson Dawn soldiers, and they're wearing like the helmets that the Crimson Dawn, that was on Dryden's, the security guys that were on Dryden's yacht.
Talking about Eamon. I love Eamon.
I have no idea who I'm talking about at this point.
His name is Eamon.
No idea.
Dryden, he picks up the remote when they're in there, and he goes, "Eamon, talk to me." Eamon?
Oh, right.
That's how it goes.
Wow.
But yeah, I thought that was really cool that there's obviously Kira is the biggest Solo reference in all of this, but obviously with everything Crimson Dawn, you're gonna have that armor, and it's just cool to see it. And it's none of those guys that are like Eamon. It's like just humans, but it's cool to see.
Jeez, where the hell do they pluck these species for the High Republic? I mean, they really
yeah, there's one of the helmets that's like
they find some very obscure ones. What's his name? Udi Dis. He's what is he?
He is a
Falcon man.
Captain Falco.
Just say he's Falco, but he's from Galaxy at War. The MMO, not the MMO. I'm sorry, the strategy game.
Yeah, the strategy. He's like from one thing, and then they were like, "Oh, let's canonize."
He's a Talatori.
Talatori. That's it.
And like they made, think about this. A quick lore for everyone, if this is not cut out. In the game, like one of the character's abilities, like that species' abilities, is that they have fast regeneration. But in the book, like they made it like they have a special connection to the Force, and they heal really fast. I'm like, that's so cool. Like that's such a super small detail from like it's literally a button you click in an RTS. Like, yep, let me use the healing ability. And in this, Cavan Scott makes it like a whole story. And I'm like, this is great.
I mean, they do that with almost every all the time. I'm pausing and like Googling species and I'm like looking at like their Legends counterparts, and it's always like from this really obscure source, like this one random book that was published in like 84 or like some friggin' like what's the word, role-playing game source book. Like it like they just come out of nowhere, like they just pop up and I'm like, where are you getting these? Like it's really impressive. I love it.
It is awesome. Cavan Scott is able to go really deep and pull from. I mean, as we talked about last time, like the Cyclorians are from The Rise of Skywalker, and like that's so cool that they're just, I love the connectivity. So yeah, AJ, I gave you some images on Twitter to back up what we've been talking about.
Right.
Yeah, they could look at the Ugor boys hanging out in Solo, and then Tamposla in Solo. And then yeah.
I wonder if I can find the Cantina music from Episode 1 video game on YouTube. I'll be listening to that all night.
I was gonna say we're not sharing that on here.
No, I'm just gonna be listening
On
to
live stream Friday, maybe. But
Look at those dudes. Look at those little guys.
Oh, okay.
Look at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at them.
That's so cool.
And then
I love it.
what else do we got here?
A little
Hopefully
group
there's no
print.
melted action figures in the back this time.
Oh,
Look, there he is.
There he is.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Thank God. There he is. He appears. Because I was really sad
There
that
he
that
is.
costume and character design was wasted for
I
a scene that
mean-
might have ultimately been cut.
May have been wasted technically, but
Well-
he's so awesome in Afra.
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad about how he goes out, but
Yeah, he
I love
it's still,
his
it's still
design.
cool that it's still cool that he's there.
I agree. Tamposla, guys, he's cool.
He's a cool intergalactic enforcer from what AJ's about to do a voice. Go ahead.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Everything else.
I practiced.
I don't know. I think we were all over the place, but I loved it.
We were, but we definitely
Dirge was in
Got there.
Afra last week. We didn't, but whatever.
we talked
talked
about that
about
last
that.
You
week.
talked about it last week. I didn't get that far.
Yeah.
Oh,
You were
no,
kicked
they-
out of book club last week. So
I was
who's gonna
reading-
be? We'll spin
I
the
was
wheel. Who's gonna
reading
get
for book
kicked
club.
out?
Spin the wheel. And I'll sue. That's our thing.
Well, everyone, I hope you guys were caught up on books. I even was given some knowledge here today as well. So I hope you guys learned something. And
Eamon, what's going on? That's what he does.
Amen. Do a copy.
Name's Eamon.
Amen.
Eamon.